EAA Airventure tips and tricks on this episode of Taking Off Podcast. Hello and welcome to the Taking Off Podcast. I'm Dan Milliken. This is going to be an episode where we go back into the library. So I was asked recently, hey, do you guys have, what you should do is make a video about what the best tips are for attending EAA Airventure in Oshkosh. And I'm like, well, we've got like 3 or 4. So this is going back to one of the original ones. And it was actually one of the first episodes that Christy ever hosted by herself. I didn't feel like I could sit in on that one because I had never been to Airventure at that point. So in this episode, Christy's going to interview some Airventure very experienced people, veterans of Oshkosh that can give you guys the best tips. If you're looking for other stuff, we also a year ago, it seems to be that time of year in July where we start talking a lot about Airventure. Last year, we did a podcast with Josh Flowers, so feel free to look that one up as well. So the information in this video is as applicable today as it was when we recorded this right before COVID. And, maybe the only thing that's changed is on the FISC arrival, they've actually added more waypoints, which creates much more of a conga line, which is actually safer than everybody just circling over Green Lake. But Robert Johnson in this video will talk about the very first tip is that if you're flying into Oshkosh, make sure that you read and study the NOTAM that comes out. So it's already out, and it's very important. Everything, if you're flying into Airventure, everything starts there. If this is your first time to Airventure, the information here is really good. And if you're a veteran, you might pick up some things that you've never known or thought about. So one thing I will say is that Christy and I and Bailey will be at the Flying Eyes booth predominantly the first half of Airventure. So starting Monday the 22nd. And toward the end of the week, Christy actually has to go back flying for Envoy. I'll be there. And feel free to come by, say hi if you see us. If we're taping, of course, don't interrupt the taping. But in between tapings, we love to say hi to people. Some things to put in your calendars. Monday, July 22nd at 2:30 p.m. at Forum Stage 8, we are going to have our annual YouTuber meet and greet. It's always very well attended. We've got some really, really big and great channels that are going to be there. So make sure that if you're going to do one thing at Airventure, Monday 2:30, Forum Stage 8, come to that. So with that, and one other thing too, if you're interested in how to place cameras and how to work video for your aviation, I am going to do a production workshop on camera editing tips and tricks and techniques. And that's the following day. It's Tuesday, July 23rd at 2:30, Forum Stage 4. So if you want to make that, that's great too. So with that, let's go to our archive episode and let Christy take it away.
FISC arrivals, holding, and landing on the dot. Today, we're talking all things Oshkosh in the hangar.
I used to be a well-respected member of the aviation community, and then I started flying to Cirrus, and that changed.
Oh, that was great until the engine quit.
And all of a sudden I see these explosions and these trees exploding.
I'm walking away a better pilot because of this discussion.
Welcome to In the Hangar. I'm Christy Wong, and today we're here with our panel of Oshgoers. We've got Mark, Robert, and Brian, I think it is. Okay, just making sure. All right. Well, we're talking all things Oshkosh today. We're gearing up and getting ready to go. But what we want to do is get some information out there for the newbies and maybe even some of the veterans who may not know about, what all there is to offer at Osh. Robert, why don't we start with you?
Start with me, okay.
We'll start with you.
What do you want to know?
All right, well, let's talk about preparation. Because people think, Osh is in a couple of weeks. Let's go. but that's so far from the truth. You have to start planning like months in advance.
Yeah, I would say the most important thing is read the NOTAM. It's online. You can get it, you can download it and read it, and not just read it, but understand it. There are also a lot of videos out there about how to fly into Oshkosh. It's different than anything most of us have done.
I know somebody that made a video about Osh.
Really?
Landing
I know
at
somebody
Osh.
about that too. Good.
Yeah.
How about that? Yeah, watch the videos. You want to tell us more about the video?
What's a NOTAM? What's the question? I'm sorry.
Rumor has it you have a video.
I did a video about my Oshkosh trip in 2018. I went in 2018. I went in 2016, and both times the entry was quite a circus, and both times I was told it's never like this. So next time
It's
I go,
always like that. Yeah, it's always like
100%
that.
of the times I've been,
always like that.
it's been a hornet's nest. So if I go back, I'll either fly into a satellite airport and drive in, or I'll go in later in the week, like Wednesday or something, so I don't have to deal with it.
I'll argue with that a little bit. I disagree. The Oshkosh arrival is actually a lot of fun. I've probably done it 20, 30 times. I don't know. It's a ton of fun. It's challenging. It's different. But if you read the NOTAM and go through and just follow the airplane ahead of you, it's a lot of fun. It's interesting. I've heard people saying that they want to go to a satellite airport not to fly the approach or the fly IFR, so not to fly the Fisk arrival. I love it. I think it's a ton of fun. We will literally, in the middle of the show, grab somebody's airplane, leave, go out and get a hamburger at Watertown, and come back just to fly the arrival.
Okay.
I'm weird that way.
My
Sorry.
experience was I was a little more terrified. I got stuck in the hold for a little over, right around 3 hours this last time, and it was one of those things where you come from Texas to Oshkosh, and there's the finish line, and you're like, I'm going to do this no matter what. And then after you land, like, why did I stay in that for 3 hours and fight through that? And there's follow the plane in front of you, but then there's this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy and all this kind of stuff. And after I landed, I was like, I just don't want to put myself through that again. So personally,
Oh, I was watching your video, and there's like airplanes literally just kind of like whizzing by and kind of, pseudo formation flying
and you
with
can't see them all in the video with those little wide angle cameras either. So it's a lot. So, but again, I've done it twice. I'll go back because I enjoy the show, but I don't know that I would do the Sunday thing again. At least not for a while.
So you're going to go in like the Wednesday before, is what you're saying.
I'm going up next week.
Yeah.
We have one guy in the field with a tent set up.
I'm going to read that NOTAM, but I'm going in 2 months early.
I actually do that. I go in on a Wednesday and volunteer at the home built headquarters, registering people with their home built airplanes, and poke fun at the Canadians. And but the NOTAM's not in effect then, so you just have the airport to yourself, and they pretty much let you park wherever you want to. And
NOTAM goes up on Friday or Saturday?
On Friday.
Friday.
And the NOTAM's like several pages long, right? How many pages? About 14 pages long?
23 pages last
23
year.
pages.
You only need one page for the arrival, though. It's all on one page. It's good to go. Read the whole thing and understand it, but if you're not a helicopter, you can probably skip that page.
Gotcha. Okay. So, and also there's a big thing too. So if you're not like camping with your airplane, you need to prepare months in advance by securing a place to stay and everything else, unless you just want to go sleep out on the grass, right?
I've always camped with my airplane.
There you
Yeah,
go.
camping is, to my mind, one of the funnest parts of Oshkosh. You go in, you're with, in my case, 40 of my best friends that we see each other once a year. We hang out, we camp together. You get woken up by Mustangs taking off. It's awesome. And
No,
there's
that sounds
nothing-
great.
Yeah, there's nothing quite like being woken up by a formation of Mustangs rolling on 27. It's pretty awesome.
So what happened last year? Because I know, what was it, Wednesday night when there was a big, storms that rolled through, and I heard it blew tents over and soaked people. Is that
That's-
just part of the experience?
Yes.
Okay.
Every year there's a storm. Every year tents get blown over. It's just part of the
Wisconsin in the
experience.
summer.
Pretty much, yeah. It can be
Awesome.
100, it can be 20, it can be everything in between.
So what would you guys recommend for preparing for the flight portion? I know we talked a little bit about Fisk and holding and kind of, Brian's terrifying experience and all, but really to prepare solidly for this flight, we're talking, in my airplane, it was 8 hours, right? So there was a lot of planning that went into that, and I can talk about that, but I want to hear from you guys. How did you plan to fly that long up there?
Well, I'll start. Okay. All right, let's go. My neighbor says, hey, we're leaving. I said, okay, let's go. No, typically we'll make 2-3 stops before we get there, according to how much gas we got in the airplane before we leave. And it's all, we kind of do it on the fly. So
Oh, good, great pun.
Yeah, there we go.
Love it.
That was
And, pick our spots according to the best fuel prices on the ForeFlight. And try to get in with enough fuel to maybe get out of there, or we've even filled up there on the field and then launched with full fuel. It's not that difficult to get fuel on the field. It's a little more expensive, so if you're pretty full when you get there, that's kind of a break too. But yeah, the flight planning's a lot of fun, and we'll sit there and look through our four flight maps and say, this looks like a pretty good place to stop. But we're intent on, once we get started, let's press on and get there. So at 5.5 hours in a RV6.
That's not bad. You went in the Grumman last year.
I did. It was I broke it up the trip there over 2 days, and I guess the thing I did is I was solo, so I wasn't going to have someone there to read the NOTAM, because you don't really know exactly what you're going to get until you get up there. And so what I did was I took Post-it notes, and I put, if they give me this runway, these are the frequencies, and I had a little diagram of which way to turn. I had these 3 Post-its on my panel, and as soon as I knew where I was going, I got the other 2 down, just so I could have like sort of Cliff's Notes right there of what I needed to do, who I needed to be talking to. So I think that helped me.
Yeah, the thing they don't tell you in the NOTAM, and we've all heard it flying in Oshkosh, is that the controllers there at Fisk will tell you what frequency to go to next.
Yeah.
You don't have to have this memorized. As long as you can get from Ripon to Fisk, they will pretty much help you and guide you from there.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's great. So what are some of your favorite activities or things to do while you're at Osh?
My favorite things are the unique things. Like in 2016, they had this, I forget the company that does it, they had the Waco biplane that they put the turbine on. And this year it was a twin yak that they put the turbine on. Just these crazy things that you don't see, and they just look and sound weird, and they just kind of stop you in your tracks, that type of stuff. And then, of course, sitting there watching people try to land.
Yep.
Watching the people inbound was, I could have sat there all day.
That's what I did for 2 days straight. Like the group I was with, we went out and we literally just watched people land. I watched you land.
I know.
It
just
was
judge everybody.
Yep.
It was smashing good fun.
It was.
By the way, we actually got to meet the guys with the twin yak on a previous episode.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the Fat Tire Cowboys.
Oh, that's cool.
They're great guys. So, what would you guys say some of your favorite things are?
Say the same thing. Sitting by the airport, by the runway, with maybe a cold beverage in your hand, watching airplanes land is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
The people.
Yeah, but the people.
The
Yeah,
people. It's we travel 1,300 miles to see people live down the street from us.
Yeah, no, that's exactly correct. It was funny, after we got back from Osh, I went out to 52 Foxtrot, and it just wasn't the same.
No, it's not.
It was like one plane every 15 minutes or so. It just wasn't the same.
That used to seem like a lot.
We're talking a lot about the arrival. There's another way that you can do that. If you're a member of the Type Club, you can do one of the mass arrivals. You can come in with the Cessna's to Oshkosh, or Mooney's to Oshkosh, or Bonanza's to Oshkosh.
I'm just going to sneak my Warrior in with one of them.
Yeah. Well,
They won't see
That
me.
actually happens
Day
more often
3,
than not.
they think I'm still one of them,
There you go. It's really a neat thing to do, to see all the Bonanzas and the Barons all coming in at the same time. And the reason that started is so they could all park together and party together in the evening. So
Right.
the Type Clubs are doing these mass arrivals. Another real good way to get in.
Yeah, it's fun at Oshkosh, though. It's used to, when you first go there the first couple of times, it's all about the airplane. You sit there and watch the airplanes and the air show and everything else. And after a couple of times, it's really more about the people than about the airplanes. And I've got a group of friends there that we've been camping together for 15, 20 years. And I see them once a year, but those are my best friends in the world. And that's why we go. It's not so much about the airplanes, it's about camping and hanging out with friends.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, there's just literally stuff to do for days there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't see enough. I kept telling myself, I'm going to go to the Air Museum. I'm going to go to the Air Museum. And of course, I didn't even see half of the stuff that was at Osh.
There's always next year.
There's always next year, exactly. So now let's talk about getting out of Osh, because that's just as challenging, I've heard, as getting into Osh.
Getting out this year was very easy for me, but I left on a Tuesday afternoon, so it was not complicated at all. The getting in was the only challenge, so I don't.
Yeah, it's you can be taxing a long time. If you're leaving on a busy day, usually Wednesday's a really busy day, Thursday morning is, you can be taxing for an hour and a half. And if your airplane overheats on the ground, it could be a problem. Only really thing on departure is when you're ready to go, they will get you on the runway and they'll push you and you'll go quickly. So make sure you're ready to go when you get to the whole short line. Also stay low inside the delta of the airport. You've got to stay low because there's airplanes potentially coming in above you. If you take off and climb straight up, that doesn't work well.
All right. Any last thoughts from you, Mark?
Wear good shoes.
Yeah.
Always good advice.
Good shoes. Ride the trams. Get to know the trams. and then do as much riding the trams as you can. They've got an excellent tram ride for the warbirds. You go in and they'll drive you up and down the rows where you can see all the airplanes. They even do that with vintage, and I'm kind of a vintage guy. I like going and seeing all the old vintage airplanes, and there's a group of people that'll tell you about the various airplanes that are parked out there and where they come from, their background. So ride as much as you can. They've got 4 big hangars where the vendors are set up. We typically say, yeah, we're going to go do 2 of these this day, and then another 2 of them the next day, and then go to the seaplane base.
Yes.
The seaplane base is very tranquil. Really kind of gets away from all the rat race, and go to the museum. We go to the museum one time and then the seaplane base the next. But it's going to take more than one time.
I was about to say, for people who have not been to Oshkosh before, you cannot see everything in one trip. It takes years of going to Oshkosh to see everything, and even then, I probably haven't seen everything.
Wow, and you've been
More times than I care to admit.
right.
Veterans.
Yeah.
Awesome. What are your favorite things about Osh? We'd like to hear them. Leave in the comments below what your favorite things at Oshkosh are to do. Until next time, watch, subscribe, and share, and we'll see you next time in the hangar.
Hope you enjoyed that. And don't forget our sponsors. We have Colton Mortgage, coltontakingoff.com for your residential mortgage, Marshall Protective Services, mpsprotects.com. They've been supporting us for a long time. Zvision, xevision.com. They make these incredible landing and taxi lights. And 67 Designs, what a team they have. They make everything in the U.S., great, solid products, excellent quality like you won't find in any of the other camera tablet mounts options that are out there. ClemensInsurance.net. I say it a lot, but I really mean it. When I did move over to call Jerry for my insurance, we ended up at the same carrier, but because Jerry knew the way to fill out an application, he was able to save me quite a bit of money, 4 figures. So call Jerry. He will really help you at ClemensInsurance.net. And, of course, Flying Eyes. Go to flyingeyesoptics.com. Use our discount code Taking Off, all caps, one word for 10% off. And we appreciate it. You guys, all our sponsors are the companies are run by pilots, just like us. So if we can help support them, it's awesome. So we'll see you next time. Take care on the Taking Off podcast.